All across America today, people will pause to honor the thousands of lives lost on this date 13 years ago in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And at the same time, the U.S. is trying to get international support to defeat the latest terror group to take the world stage, ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria.
We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL through a comprehensive and sustained counterterrorism strategy.
In a 14-minute address to the nation last night, a weary-looking President Obama made it clear his plan does not commit U.S. troops to another ground war in Iraq. He says America will use other resources to fight ISIS, expanding airstrikes, even into Syria, supporting local forces on the ground, increasing humanitarian aid, and working with allies to prevent another attack. Congress will now decide whether to approve the president's request for $500 million to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels.
I think that this should have been done, obviously, much more aggressively from the beginning.
The full House and Senate will get private intelligence briefings today. CIA Director John Brennan tells CBS News the U.S. would crush ISIS, leaders calling them evil incarnate. Secretary of State John Kerry remains in the Middle East trying to deliver on the president's promise of a broad international coalition. President Obama is sending 475 additional U.S. troops to Iraq to support government forces. That brings the total number of American troops there to about 1,600. Well, coming up on 6:03, back here in Albuquerque, the fight about whether county voters can weigh in on reducing penalties for pot possession in November could soon be headed to court. The Bernalillo and Santa Fe County Commissions wants to put poll questions on the ballot, asking if voters want to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana. That question would not have any legal effect or change any rules. On Wednesday, Secretary of State Diana Duran ruled the counties could not do this, saying in a letter, quote, questions that serve merely as poll questions or advisory questions are not authorized by the Constitution or by statute. Bernalillo County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley says the Secretary of State is simply wrong here, and she will push the county to fight Ms. Duran in court.
I think it's very important that we uphold our authority.
That decision could come as soon as Monday. Commissioners are set to meet to decide how to move forward. Then, also, it has to be done by September 20th. That's when absentee ballots go out. Coming up on 6:04, emotions ran high as veterans here in New Mexico voiced their concerns about the Veterans Affairs Department and the healthcare system. Listen to this.
How dare you people do that to me? How dare you? And you looked away. You knew this was happening. Now how are you going to build my trust? I've lost my medical care because of this, because I can't trust them people.
Which was successful. We're looking at pretty strong statement there. The Veterans Administration had two town hall meetings yesterday in Albuquerque to talk about the now very public problems within the VA, including long wait times, some which may have caused some veterans to die. The veterans here were encouraged to go out to ask questions, and while many did vent, some posed solutions to help the office serve patients better.
Something needs to be done to improve the communications if you want to build trust with us veterans. To be sent to a little closet way off in the corner is very discouraging.
The department is working to make some changes, including allowing veterans to seek health care somewhere else if the wait times at VA clinics are too long. There's also a push to open more clinics, but it could be years before those are built. Well, a repeat car thief took a ride to jail after swiping an APD bait truck not just once, but twice yesterday.
Take it.
Well, video here shows Donnie Brown hopping into a truck police say he stole near San Mateo and Central yesterday. Within seconds, APD was hot on his trail. Police at one point say Brown stopped the truck, got out, started running away, then got back in the truck and took off again. That's when they cut the ignition with a remote and arrested him. APD says Brown has been arrested more than 50 times since 1995. Well, police in Espanola say someone broke into an old church chapel and made off with loads of religious items. The Catholic group Las Carmelitas discovered the break-in last weekend. Someone busted through a window and stole from a small chapel here in Santa Cruz near Espanola. Statues of the Virgin Mary used in prayer processions were stolen, along with pictures from the wall and religious relics from the altar even. Much of this is very old. Some of it was donated, and the church members are hoping all of it gets returned.
It's very meaningful. They're priceless items. They cannot be replaced.
Fortunately, they're very religious articles like this are very well known, especially in a strong Catholic community like we have. So people are going to recognize them.
Espanol police say they do have a person of interest in the case. They're not saying who that person is, and they have not arrested anyone just yet. Well, New Mexico joins the nation today in pausing to remember a day that changed our world forever. 13 years ago this morning, over the course of 90 minutes, Americans watched in abject horror as 4 planes commandeered by terrorists killed nearly 3,000 people, destroying a nation's sense of security. The first 2 planes hit the World Trade Center 17 minutes apart. Then one hit the Pentagon 40 minutes later, and the 4th hijacked plane crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after brave passengers stormed the cockpit, sacrificing themselves rather than have that plane hit its intended target, the White House. September 11, 2001 will be commemorated in many ways in New Mexico and all around the country today. We'll fill you in on some of them as we go through the morning. Also, so you know, by executive order of the governor, all flags here in New Mexico will fly at half-staff from sunup to sundown. And take a look. New this morning is very interesting. 67%, or 2 out of 3 American adults, think it is somewhat likely another 9/11 type attack will take place in the next 10 years. That is up 30% from last year. This is all the latest from a Rasmussen survey of 1,000 people. 34% think another attack is very likely, 24% think it's unlikely, and 3% don't think one will happen at all, with 13% being undecided. And take a look. In New York City this morning, thousands of people are gathering at the World Trade Center, one World Trade Center that is, to recognize a moment of silence at the time each plane hit. The names of those who died here on 9/11 will be read aloud. Bagpipers and drummers will play. Then at the Pentagon, President Obama and Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel will join the Joint Chiefs. They'll participate in another ceremony commemorating one of the darkest days of history in the United States. They just opened up a flag from the roof of the Pentagon a few minutes ago.